Hello and welcome back to Little's Reading. We are on chapter 3 of Long Live the Pumpkin Queen by Shea Earnshaw. They're back, the vampire prince exclaims. How many witches were there? The witch sisters asked in unison, scuttling up to Jack and me as soon as we enter the town square. Were they as hideous as us? Were there any walking dead? Mummy boy mumbles between his thick layers of cotton, his single eyeball blinking. I bet there were red-eyed demons like me. The winged demon remarks, nodding with certainty, but Corpse Kid shakes his head. No way. I bet there were girl demons. I force a smile as the town residents surround us, shouting their questions, wanting us to describe Valentine's Town in detail. My head pulses and I crave the dark quiet of our home atop Skull Hill, but Jack grins at the crowd. We did see a few winged babies, he says with a wink, patting Corpse Kid on his pale bald head. Did they have fangs, the winged demon asks, or poisonous horns? Corpse Kid suggests, but Jack shakes his head. They're called cupids, and they make people fall in love. At once, the faces in the crowd pucker in disgust. Gross, the winged demon says, sticking out his forked tongue. But how many ghouls do they have, Mummy Boy asks now? How many pumpkins and graveyards and deathly crawly things? Jack lets out a little chuckle, lifting his palms in the air. All in good time, he assures them. I will tell you everything we've seen, but for now, let us get settled. Still, they clamor around us. Pumpkin Queen! Someone calls over the others. I turn and there's a sudden flash of a camera. It's the clown with the tearaway face, wheeling close on his unicycle, holding a camera to his yellow eyes and snapping another photo of Jack and me. It's for the front cover of tomorrow's Ghosts and Ghouls newspaper. He shouts to us, his unicycle tire briefly lodging itself in a street crack before he wobbles free. Everyone wants to hear about the royal couple's trip. Jack grins at the clown and exclaims, Wonderful! But I feel wholly overwhelmed. Too many hands reach out for us, touching the fabric of my dress as if someone new and unfamiliar they've never seen before. As if I'm not the same person I was before I married Jack. Before yesterday. They push one another aside, trying to get closer, to see me better, and I hate the way it makes me feel. Examined, scrutinized, as though I am some nine-tined creature they have caught in their net and are about to dissect. I push my way behind Jack as we finally approach the gate to Skull Hill, the procession following close behind. Jack, the mayor shouts, waiting for us at the metal gate, tapping nervously at the orange ribbon on his coat pocket that reads mayor, lest anyone should forget. We have many things we must discuss. Halloween is only 2 weeks away. Yes, of course, Jack replies. Come inside. I wince, my stomach plummeting. I want nothing more than to shut the door of our home, sink into the quiet, and be alone with Jack. But the mayor waddles in behind us, his cone-shaped head barely squeezing through the doorway, and several others bustle in behind him, including the witch sisters, Helgamine and Zeldaborn, and the vampire prince. Queen. The mayor corrects himself, clearing his throat. The witch sisters and the vampire prince have many things to show you. There isn't much time. For what? I ask, backing away from the mayor, hoping I can slip through one of the shadowy doorways and escape his frenzied, swivel-eyed gaze. As queen, you will be organizing the All Hallows Eve party in the cemetery this year. It's quite an honor. Plus, there are the new curtain swatches to be decided on. You can't possibly live in this house without redecorating. And your new gown, Helgamine and Zeldaborn say in unison. I swallow down the scrabbling, thorny ache forming in my throat and feel for the seam on my wrist, picking at the thread, tugging at it, worrying it loose. I don't need a new gown. The mayor's face jerks around quickly, revealing his sharp, pointed teeth and a deep, grisly frown. Nonsense. You're the Pumpkin Queen now. You can't keep wearing that tattered old thing. He nods at my patchwork dress, the one I've restitched so many times that I'm certain none of the fabric packages are the originals, the black as night thread barely keeping it together. Must anything change at all? I ask, my voice too thin, like air slipping through cracks on a winter night, like I'm unsure of my own words. I don't think the house needs new curtains either. The vampire prince lowers his black umbrella, his shield from the cruel sunlight when he's outdoors, and folds it into a narrow point before walking to the front window, touching the old black curtains with his thin fingertips and making a sound, like he's never seen anything quite so horrid in his long, long life. Maybe we could at least wait until tomorrow, I suggest, backing away toward the spiral stairs. Start in the morning. I don't want a new dress, new curtains, or to make plans for a party. I just want to be alone with Jack for a little longer. Pretend we're back in Valentine's Town, drifting lazily down the chocolate river. His eyes settled on mine, making me feel safe, making me feel at home, with none of the obligations waiting for us here. but the mayor waves a hand at me. No, there's no time to waste. And before I can protest further, he has turned his attention to Jack, who has already started down the hall toward his library, mumbling to himself as he thumbs through the scrolls of diagrams and sketches for the fast-approaching Halloween holiday. Already lost in his work. Alone with the witch sisters and the vampire prince, I think I can make my escape, slink away into the kitchen, or even a closet, where I will hide and wait for them all to leave. For hours or days, if I must, a queen hiding in her own home. But Helgemine, the taller of the two sisters, grabs my wrist with her sharp fingertips, pinching my fabric tightly, then leads me up to the stairwell to the bedroom Jack and I share. I let out a little squeak, but I don't fight her. The sun dips below the horizon, giving way to night, and in the bedroom the fireplace crackles and spits out sparks onto the rug while the stone gargoyles scowl down at us from the ceiling, and I feel at once like a prisoner in my own home, confined by the sisters and the vampire prince blocking the stairs. Stand up straight, Zelda Bourne instructs, even though she is a good foot shorter than me, her wavy black hair sticking out from beneath her pointed hat like an overgrown blackberry bush. A queen should certainly have better posture than yours. She jabs me in the ribs with her long index finger, her nail like a metal spike. And better hair, Helgemine chimes in, taking a strand of my straight rose-red hair between her fingers and making a disappointed grunting sound. Helgemine's own ghost white hair is just as unruly as her sister's. My broomstick is silkier than this. They both cackle, hackling, or buckling over at their shared joke. The witch sisters were surely young and wartless once, but now they are bent at the shoulders, wiry and hollow-eyed like dusty relics. Their joints crack and pop as they scuttle around me, and their breath is like a bog. Yet they have no problem pointing out my apparent flaws as if I am a sad last cause. Before I married Jack, Helgemine and Zelda Bourne never seemed to notice me. I was as unimportant to them as a scarab beetle crushed beneath their shiny black shoes. But now, between grumbles of annoyance and snickering laughter, they drape black chiffon across my torso, then pin it to my patchwork dress as if I am, well, a rag doll, accustomed to the pricks of needle points. They stand back to admire their work before repinning and fussing and adjusting seams. The vampire prince ignores their wheezing laughs and juts out his long gray chin as he steps forward to place an oversized black feathered hat atop my head. But when I catch my reflection in the slender mirror beside the bedroom closet, I see that it's not a hat at all. It's a crown. The vampire prince tilts it a little to the left, then forward, so that it's slumped partly over my eyelashes. We want you to feel perfectly queenly, he says, blinking his milk-white eyes at me. I grimace at the word, always the same word, queen, as I push the crown higher onto my head away from my eyes, but I feel like an imposter. I look like one, too. Zelda Bourne and Helgemine cease their laughing to appraise the crown. If you don't like the crow feathers, Zelda Bourne says, giving me a curious look, I saw a raven in the street this morning newly dead. It would look lovely with your pale complexion. I scratch at the side of the crown where my hair is tugging against the feathers. Must I wear a crown at all? The vampire prince gasps, then clutches a hand to his mouth as if I have personally offended him. Jack doesn't wear a crown, I point out. Helgemine and Zelda Bourne exchange quick looks, their laughter gone, their raised warts gleaming in the moonlight through the window. The vampire prince paces in front of me, arms crossed, his sharp black hairline drawing down. Crowns are all the fashion for queens these days. How would you know what the latest fashions are? I ask, a rotting discomfort growing inside me, an itch at the base of my neck like walls. At the base of my neck, like the walls are shrinking, tipping closer, and soon they will crush me into a heap of chiffon and crow wings. None of you have ever been outside Halloween Town, I continue, my voice rising, sounding stronger now, but the room only grows smaller, the seams along my chest tightening, and it feels impossible to suck in a breath. You've never even met a real queen before. I have. But I don't tell them this, about my meeting with Ruby Valentino. Because I have no interest in wearing cherry red high heels and a bouffant glittery gown that sweeps around me like a broom whenever I walk. Surely such a gown would only gather up beetles and spiders in its hemline, a place for insects to nest and make their home. I don't need any of this, I say instead, my head dizzy, my throat dry like I've swallowed down spoonfuls of dust. Zelda Bourne's expression curdles. Helgemine's mouth falls open. While the chiffon fabric still pinned across my patchwork dress and a crow feather crown tipping to one side of my head, I start to back away from them, toward the doorway, feeling trapped like a pigeon in an attic, wings useless, eyes darting for a way free. The trio stare back at me, eyes blinking, but before they can argue that this is for my own good, I slip out into the hall and scramble down the staircase, tripping on the layers of chiffon. At the end of the hall, I duck into Jack's library, breathing deeply. Jack and the mayor are hunched over the unrolled sketches and blueprints spread out on the lopsided wood table. talking quickly, heads close together, while Jack uses a squid ink pen to make notes in the margins. Perhaps we should use twice as many spiders this year, Jack is saying. Tuck them into the corners of every bedroom. The mayor nods. Cobwebs are always a success, he replies, tapping a finger against the table. And remember, production is down with candy corn this year, so we'll need to find an alternative. Jack straightens. Is the swamp still running low on sugared wax? Afraid so, but we have an idea for making candy shaped like bat heads. Jack rubs anxiously his forehead, bone against bone. Do we have enough black tar for that? I'll check with Cyclops, but last week he assured me that the tar pits were as deep as ever. Good, Jack says, releasing his hand. Now about the Wolfman. I heard he has a sore throat and isn't sure if he'll be able to howl at the moon this year. Is this true? The mayor starts to speak, but I step into the room, cutting him off. Jack, I say softly, I need to speak with you. He turns and smiles when he sees me, eyes lighting up. I step farther into the room, into the lamplight. I don't really feel like myself in all of this. I lift the edges of the black chiffon gown for him to see, the layers like a lace cake or cobweb stretched thin, the crow feather crown now slumped to one side, slipping down my two straight hair. Jack raises the bones above his eyes, mouth puckering to one side. He muses, crossing the library to touch the length of the fabric stretched and pinned across my shoulder. It does seem a little strange. A little too, he considers the right word, formal? Perhaps a different fabric. I swallow and shake my head. Jack, I don't think... But the mayor cuts me off. They're doing the best they can with the fabric they have, Jack. The mayor's face is spun around again, all jagged teeth and worried eyes. Halloween and a queen all in less than a month. It's a lot for the town to organize. We're stretched thin as it is. Jack nods. Yes, of course. I know I'm asking a lot of everyone. It's not the fabric, I start. But Jack takes my hand in his. I want you to have anything you need to feel like a queen, he says. A new dress, new shoes, whatever you want. Perhaps you can suggest to them a different style. Or a crown that's a little less... He taps a finger to his chin. I don't want any of these things, I interject, shaking my head. I don't want a crown at all. He tilts his gaze like he's finally starting to understand, to see the worry dampening my eyes. Jack, please, the mayor says from the table. You've already been gone for your honeymoon. We don't have time to argue over dress fabrics. Yes, Jack replies, nodding back at the mayor. Then he turns his focus to me, taking my hands in his. We'll discuss it tonight, he says, winking at me. I only want you to be happy. He says it softly, so only I can hear. Then he kisses my palm, soft and sweet. But all too quickly, he turns back to the mayor, resuming their conversation about how many beeswax candles to place in... Resuming their conversation about how many pumpkins should be carved and how many beeswax candles to place in each. I tuck my mouth to one side, the unease still writhing inside me, and I slip out into the hall where the witch sisters and the vampire prince are coming down the stairs. Pumpkin Queen, they call in a chirpy sing-song. Let us show you the fish leather shoes we've prepared for you. The heel is impossibly tall and terribly uncomfortable. We think you'll love it. I don't wait for them to reach the bottom of the stairs. I don't bother protesting. Instead, I dash past them and yank open the front door, ducking out into the dim evening light. That is the end of Chapter 3. Be here next time. We'll be reading Chapter 4. Hope you guys are enjoying the story so far. Bye.